just a reminder that this Friday we have our our strongly encouraged fun afternoon. I hope you all are going to make it.
What does that mean?
It means that we'll be doing team building activities from 2 to 5 after work.
On a Friday. The Friday before a holiday weekend?
You betcha. We're going to have a trust fall station. We've got a vision board crafting corner. And Derek from accounting has said he will do a magic show for us.
Derek once stapled his own hand and cried for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. But, he's really turned it around. And now attendance is going to be taken. But don't think of this as mandatory, please. No. Think of it as a really great opportunity for you to show leadership that you are a culture fit here.
So it's mandatory.
It's enthusiastically expected.
I'm going to need to work from home on Friday.
Oh no, Amber, are you sick?
I'm getting there.
Oh, well, feel better. Drink some orange juice, and hopefully you'll be better by Friday because, the trust fall station, it only works with even numbers.
I'm going to need FMLA paperwork. Welcome to Sanity Pending Podcast. I am Amber. This is Holly. And we are here today to talk about mandatory fun. Those staged events that are meant to be team building or engagement opportunities, right? To connect with your coworkers. That's the last thing that you want to do. And so we're going to talk about all that is entailed with mandatory fun today. So, So Holly, how many mandatory fun events have you been subjected to?
Oh my God, I've lost count. They're so awful. I really try to just erase it from my memory as soon as it happens. Ugh. Oh God. What about you? What was the worst one that you had to go to?
Okay, so I'm going to be in the minority here.
What?
So yeah,
Did you like mandatory fun?
I did.
No!
I did. You know why? I like mandatory fun? And it wasn't the forced part of it, right? I just kind of follow. I honestly, I got over the forced mentality because of being in the military. There's always something that you're just like forced teamwork, forced this, right? And so I saw it as a way of being able to plan a party, have a party, and not work, get paid to party. I got paid to be a party girl. And I typically was on the planning committee. Now, as I got older, I got more annoyed. And of course, I did not want to be incorporated. But I will say, I started out, really enjoying it and loving, the work related to, let's have fun. I was that annoying person that was just come on, everybody, let's have fun. And we're going to get paid to have fun. I know, obnoxious. Now, opposite.
Yeah.
I am not that lady anymore. But I was.
I'm not totally surprised by that. Because you do, you are very you're the element that would bring people in and make it fun. Do you know what I mean? They're not all like that. And this whole taking attendance and it feels like coercion. You say that this is to build camaraderie and stuff like that, but to be honest, it feels fake. All of it feels fake. It feels staged, like you said. And I could see right through that. And I'm not having it.
Right? And it is. And instead of calling it out and trying to avoid it, what I did is I would lean into it and then I would just make it what I wanted to make it. And I found that I had a harder time participating when I wasn't the planner around it because I didn't like what other people had come up with. But when I was part of the planning committee, then I'm at least I'm going to find something to because I'm still going to be working the event. I'm not a participant of the event. So I like to put other people through torture and and instead be the one. But I did kind of see it as hey, I'm still working, but I'm working in a different capacity. And I am trying to teach myself that there is time to rest and that there's and rest your brain from the tough stuff
Yeah.
and maybe work your brain on a puzzle together or work your
Yeah.
brain, right? So
Well, that's the key though, right? Is then you do it during work hours. You don't do this mandatory fun on the weekend or in the evenings and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because then it feels like just another obligation to people. And the like why for people who are subjected to that stuff after hours, it's like, why didn't anybody think about like things like the cost of childcare or the already insane commute that many of us have, hour plus commute that we have? Like, why would we want to extend that stuff, And like, really, I'm sorry. My point of view, I'm like, I want money. I want flexible schedules. I want more paid time off. Like, get out of here with your pizza party. Give me money. Give me the money. I don't want pizza.
Right. See, then I don't know. Like, so apart from my military experiences and the exception being on work travel events, right?
Oh, sure.
I'm not sure that I actually was a part of mandatory after hours activities then.
Oh, all of your stuff was like optional. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like
big difference.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of point of this. Was it really optional? Because I do feel like there's a scan done in the spaces of who's not here.
Did you experience repercussions then? Like, did you actually experience, or did you go to all of them so you wouldn't have experienced anything?
Also, as a planner, right? Yeah. And I'm a rule follower.
You are, yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Right? But and it was like, hey, like, and I'm talking about like potlucks, right?
Yeah,
Maybe like say there was like a monthly potluck. Maybe it was a birthday thing, and then we were just going to celebrate everybody's birthdays. That was, and like, is that mandatory? No. But it was still hey, is somebody so busy that they can't come and just take a break, right? Like, that's how it was said. Yeah. But I can't vouch that that's really what people were thinking. Like, if I got to be here, why isn't everyone here?
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I saw it as, yay, I don't have to sit in front of my computer in the email. I'm going to eat some chili. I'm going to eat some, right. And then I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to talk to this person who I only got to wave to this morning. And I haven't and I want to ask them about this. And, and I used it as like social hour.
Yeah.
And because again, I know we've talked about in the previous episode, if they paid me to be social, I'm going to be really good at it. And if they're going to pay me to work, then you need to send me home. Right?
Like, no, true.
Then, yes. So I have a really difficult time with the mixing of like, when am I social? When am I, right? And so that's just an internal conflict. I'm sure it didn't come across that I was having that conflict, but I definitely had it. And so I'm like, I am working through lunch because I am socializing during this lunch break. And say if it was like related, around a holiday or something, right? There would be some kind of thing that we would, but at the time it felt, and I could be wrong, right? Because this is coming from my perspective, but at the time it felt like people enjoyed spending time with one another, and enjoyed also not having to be at their desk and working because it was during working hours.
Yeah. Totally different if you're getting paid for it. Totally different, because you're right. Like I've mentioned it before, but my personal time is a boundary for me. I already give so much of my day to my company, and then you're asking me to give more, like that. I mean, again, I don't want to feel coerced into doing something. And I use coerce because it does feel like, because you're right, I've never been to one where they're taking attendance at these events, but I have had where they do this whole thing where they're taking pictures and then they post it in the team Slack or the team, whatever it is, the chat that we all have going. And it's like, you can obviously see that Holly's missing or so-and-so is missing. And it's sort of like an underhanded way of saying, like, we knew you weren't there. Like, so do you know what, like, I hate that. I don't like that stuff. I think that needs to cut that stuff out. I hate it.
Right? Your presence was missed. It was, and there's like,
were you okay? Were you sick? Were you sick? It doesn't matter what I was doing. None of your business.
None of your business. That's right. I had other plans, right? Yeah. And I'm going to always have other plans when it comes to this, right? Because I don't.
And okay, so, and I know you kind of liked as the planner for stuff, but like if you were given the option of, hey, we could do a pizza party or we could give everybody a $500 check this quarter, like which would you take?
Well, after Yeah, but after taxes,
pathetic.
it's probably going to be the cost of a pizza.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to get $20 from
it's
that.
yeah, like, and again, like, and I think that's what, like, this divide between like what leaders think employees want and what employees
Yes.
actually want. I'm just like, you're so far removed from the employee. I'm just like astonished that you haven't figured out that that's not what we want. But like, I will say the potluck stuff, I did do that whenever it was like during lunch and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, heck yeah, I don't have to bring a lunch. But then I do know, Amber, like, I remember somebody was like, man, you know, I had kid events, I had all these things going on. I didn't have time to stop by the store and get a little tin of cookies for everybody and stuff. It's like, so they felt like they couldn't participate. And I'm like, you can freaking participate. There's going to be like more than enough food. But like that kind of like, sometimes that can shame people into thinking like, man, you know, I didn't have time to stop and bring something. And it's like, how do you do it without always like somebody feeling excluded? I don't know that there's a way necessarily. I can't think of one. But like I know that's something that always comes up, and another reason why I'm like, oh man, well, somebody's going to feel singled out, you know?
I think that's how this whole thing got started, to be honest, right? Is that there is a desire for something to happen at a planning level, leadership, whatever you want to call it, right? Like there is a upper level design, let's call it, right?
I love that you use design, because this whole thing feels manufactured. But go ahead. Yes.
Correct. Oh, it's intentional, right? Yeah. Because it is that they want to tap into what they think, what they see, what they have abilities to offer, right? Around for time or money or resources or whatever, right? It might be, to then set up a simulation of belonging and connection.
Yeah.
And then they run people through that simulation.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't work out the way that they just magically hope, that by combining a bunch of people together, very different groups of people, types of people together around an activity, and expect all of a sudden, like science, we're just going to form bonds as a collective. It's not like, because what generally happens, right? We zero in on the person that we already know that we like, or that we've already formed a bond with outside of said event, right? Like it's usually the work task that I have formed the best bonds with individuals, right? Like honestly, it's the trauma bonding around like, this work is
we
hard,
hate this
right?
person, you know? Whatever. Yes.
Whatever. Yes. And so like anytime that those events happened, then you would just kind of gravitate towards your crew and, or your person. If you are not a crew, right? You know, then you would just kind of gravitate towards your individual, which then defeats what I would say is the one of the purposes.
Yeah.
Right behind why that whole manufactured event was created. So then if it doesn't work out the way that they intended, then why continue? Like, isn't
you
that
had
the
one
definition of insanity?
Yes, you failed once. You failed twice. We're going to keep going? I don't understand. Why do you keep doing the same thing and expect something different? Like, it didn't work the last 20 times we did it.
Right.
Why are we still doing it?
Right. And then, like, why would you want to keep calling out and pointing out that not everybody is feeling like they belong? Not everyone is equipped, adapted, capable, desirous of wanting to belong or connect with their coworkers.
Right.
So why make that to where it is such an awkward environment?
Yeah.
And instead of like forcing it, just like give the people what they want. If they want to have I don't know, like the flexibilities around like, hey, instead of spending this time you know, with being forced to hang out with my coworkers, why don't I get to just go home early, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not going to work, why don't I get the flexibility to kind of understand what it is that I want to do? And then if I choose to go hang out with my coworker person on that time, that's our choice. Because that like, but there isn't really a lot of a choice. But then when they set up a planning committee, for which I was a member of in many, many instances, it's like the whole success is kind of placed on the planning committee, and that we are somehow I don't want to say to blame. Blame is a harsh word in that, but yeah, like responsible.
You have
for
responsibility
whether
to ensure that this is a success, Amber. Yes, I know.
And it was never actually placed that strongly, but like, what did we miss? Right?
Yeah.
That like, why didn't this work? Well, the reason why it didn't work is because people don't like this. Like it's not what did we miss in this structure that people didn't. It's that we missed that they even wanted a committee, that they even wanted something to be planned.
Right.
And that instead that decision was already made. And then you already just kind of have to continue on the forced route. So that's where I made like lemonade out of those lemons, because I'm like, well, that's already a sailed ship. I can't do much about kind of going back and changing their mind about why we're here. But instead, then maybe I can, kind of be part of the committee in terms of like trying to make it somewhat pleasurable.
Yeah.
But again, this is all during working hours. So you weren't
it feels
necessarily
different when you're doing
does
that.
Feel different.
Yeah, it's very different than if you're not getting paid for it. And I will say too, like, I think what they recognize is that, and by they, I mean companies, like people who have decision-making power, they recognize that people sort of see their jobs as just a job. Like, this is my job. I come here not because I enjoy it, but I need money so I can survive. And they're trying to change that for some reason. It's like, why try to change that? Like, this is a business transaction. Like, why should, like, they want us to care, but to be honest, that cares would never be reciprocated. So why would we do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to like get out of us something that you would never return to us. We're onto you. We are onto you. Like, I'm not falling for it. So no, this whole idea of loyalty and stuff that we've kind of talked about in previous episodes, that's gone. That's gone. People recognize that they are replaceable at work. And in an instant, if it was advantageous to the company, they would be gone. So why am I doing this extra stuff?
I certainly know that I can adapt some of these experiences and opportunities to my own purposes, because I learned very, very quickly that you can't control people's participation. But what I could control was how and where my time was spent on things. Like within that. And then of course, I definitely fell for the trap of but it looks really good on your resume to have been part of this thing. I did.
Does it look good on the resume? Like, I don't even know.
Well, it did for me.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Good. Yeah.
Because of the stuff that I could directly translate.
Oh, the skills you built as a result.
The skills that I built as a result.
Yes.
Not because
very smart, Amber.
I planned this event, nobody showed up. I still get credit for planning.
I'm just thinking party planner. Like, what the heck? Like, I mean, that great. Like, if you're looking for another party planner thing, but no, you're talking if you're talking the, I want to move around in corporate or something. I just no, sorry. I was like, huh? It's so funny. So I remember one time when there was a call for, there wasn't an official committee, kind of like what you were talking about. It was there was a call for people to volunteer to help plan something. And nobody volunteered. So then now what, right? Somebody's going to be voluntold to do something. And so again, I don't know. I've had only a lot of I shouldn't say only bad experience, but a lot of bad experiences with it, which is why I'm very anti-mandatory fun. And I love that we're calling it mandatory fun, because that's how it feels, 100%.
Right. The dark side for me, as I'll say, is that these committees and these types of planning stuff points to my aggravation, irritation, and absolute disgust with said previous episode on group projects.
Dang.
And so if I could just
so you got saddled doing everything. Let's be honest. Amber got saddled with it. Yes.
Correct. And so it's why do I need I don't need anybody. Just make me the committee. Just right? But then that defeats the purpose of a committee.
Yes.
There's no diversity of thought. There's no new ideas, because you know what? Nobody wants to think of these things. And that's lost. That gets totally lost in the mix. And that's fine. But if there's going to be work to be done, I'm going to do my part. I'm probably going to do your part too.
All the parts.
I'm going to be all the parts. And I can totally see why people love working with me, because they got credit for stuff that I did. Anyway, rant over. Now, this has just turned into how Amber's amazing and everyone else sucks. And that's not actually true, guys. This is just...
It's a little true. It's kind of true.
This is... Okay, so you know how we were talking on last week's episode about there being bringing your whole self,
Oh,
and so this has to me a massive connection to bringing your whole self. Like
yeah.
that, there is this idea of it's not just like bringing all that you represent about yourself, but it is also giving your time. It's giving this. It's giving right, like it's giving this energy. It's giving this
Mm-hmm.
vibe, right?
Yeah.
And how and that somehow bringing your whole self is another way of saying this, like, I no longer am an individual. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm gonna do.
Mm.
And there's like this, like, is that really what you're asking? Is that really what you want when you're saying bring your, like, I am so suspect of that phrase. And it's also associated with authenticity. And if you're going to
Yes.
allow me to be authentic, then I'm going to authentically address this in the way that I best know how, which is to not participate, because you don't want to see my authentic self. My whole self is to come in and curse everyone every day.
Like this idea that you can have fun at work. What? That's absurd.
And I believed it because because think of the person that you could go to at work, share a meme, share a joke, and you end up in a fit of giggles, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You and
Yes.
I were those people for each
Mm-hmm.
other, right? And I
Yes.
do have that network. So yes, I could have fun at work. And I remember earlier in my career, I had a crew of
Yeah.
people. And this was when those bad lip reading videos were just coming out.
Oh my God, that's
And
hilarious. Yeah, those are so funny. I haven't thought about those in
so,
years.
so good. And
Oh,
so
so
we
good.
would be crying,
Yeah.
laughing
Great use of
so
company time.
hard.
Love
Right?
that.
Great use of company
Great.
time. And I have never been a smoker, but my crew was. So guess who got to go spend extra smoke break time without being on like a
Heck
smoker?
yes.
Because I was on my break with them. If they got that
Mm-hmm.
many break, I mean, and I wasn't doing it for fairness. I was doing it so that way we could stand outside and
Yeah.
and laugh and joke,
Yeah.
and talk trash and about whatever it is that we
Yes.
needed to talk trash about that day. Because let's
Mm-hmm.
be real, that's what happens. If
Yes.
you want engagement, that's where you're going to get.
We got to get this important business out of the way first.
That's right. Right. And so we would make ourselves laugh through these videos or
Yeah.
other, kind of fun stuff. And so, yes, I found a way to have fun at work, but I did it my own way. And I did not do it in a way that would be considered acceptable use of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but yes. And again, it's not manufactured, right? Like you're not like it's not an act. It's not performative. It's I think you said it in our thing when we were talking about like planning for the video. Like that's organic. Like you can't recreate that. So
Right.
Yeah.
So to think that you could, that you have a belief that setting the environment, setting the place for that to happen is the same as the event taking place.
How are you missing? How are you not understanding this?
It's time for a story.
Story time.
Story. Okay, so listener submitted story coming
I love
at
our
ya.
listener submitted stuff. I'm so glad we're back to this. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So, weeks ahead of a work retreat, my boss came to me and asked if I would organize after-hours activities to help build morale. These would not be considered optional events because for morale building to take place, everyone needs to be there. I didn't agree with the statement, but I did as I was asked, and I sent out emails asking for ideas that might excite the team to participate. I got a few responses, but not many, so I made it simple on myself and scheduled dinner plans and mild activity events. Curious what mild means, but
yeah, me too.
The event took place, and it seemed like no one was having fun after hours, and were just having their dinners and counting down the time until they could leave. Upon returning to the office and getting feedback from the retreat survey, I was called into the office to help explain why morale seemed to have gotten worse after the retreat rather than better. Sorry, I know
that's. I'm so confused.
Shock and awe.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. That was just too much.
So, with pointed examples of the after-hours activities being called out as evidence of their irritation, like.
I wish they had shared like the activities. Now I'm like, I really want to know. I'm so curious.
I'm curious to understand. Like, I would consider dinner to be mild.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Why
Right? So
why do more than that? Like, yeah.
why do more than that? Right. Very unfair to everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
The expectation that this individual would somehow need to answer for why
Yeah,
the survey results came back
definitely.
as yeah, of scenario was manufactured in a way
Mm-hmm.
to invite said connection. Connection did not occur.
The
How
experiment
is that
failed.
the experiment failed? So how is that the fault of a person?
Yeah, no, that's weird. I don't like that. I think too, what really struck me, Amber, is the individual who sent this in, being roped into planning this, sent an email though asking employees like, it's we got to do this. So what would you want to do? And didn't get very many responses. And as somebody who has had to organize things like employee surveys, like some of the themes that I'm seeing here, besides just general disengagement, which like that's very obvious, but things like, maybe there's a fear of speaking honestly, or the belief that it doesn't matter what I say, like you're not going to take what I have to say into consideration anyway. Like whatever suggestion I have, you wouldn't consider it. Do you know what I mean? So a clear lack of trust here. So I'm shocked that this leader in this story here is trying so hard to manufacture morale when there are real issues that you need to address here. Like, wake up, wake up. The last thing we need is a dinner night. You've got some trust issues on your team. Maybe address that,
I just think this must be like the callback episode, but I think back to our episode about work travel. If this was an event, if they're calling this a retreat, I'm guessing that they left. They're
I hadn't
on
thought of
travel.
that. Yeah, maybe.
And maybe or not, right? But they're out of their normal groove.
Yeah, definitely.
So if they're taken out of the normal groove of this, and then they've probably spent all day together, are now being forced to spend their evening time together, what did you expect to have happen? And
that's a long freaking day.
And that assumes that the day was a good day. Because
a lot of things going on. Yes.
Yeah, why was that retreat? Like, is this we got some stuff to work out retreat, meaning that we are having problems and you spent all day trying to have difficult conversations with each other to get people to talk and be honest? Or is it just like does this team group or whatever, do they do this frequently? Like, is this a recurring thing? Is this normal for them? Abnormal? Like, I have a lot more questions. And again, refer to the work travel episode, where we talk about how different people can be. I have more faces for this one than I do like responses. Like, ew.
Yeah. Ew.
Wow. But then
that's how I feel. Ew.
But then I can totally relate, because then I am probably this person who the boss asked, because
you would be the one that got roped into it.
Correct. So I can connect and relate and feel frustrated. I can feel the responsibility that that maybe they were feeling, like they don't say it, but maybe that they were feeling a failure for not also like, oh, well, that's a shame, right? Can't really take credit for it failing, but I'm going to take credit where I tried.
Or even feeling, even being conflicted, because, they mentioned like they thought it was a bad idea, but they still did it anyway. So having this conflict within yourself of like, I don't really want to do this, but I have to do it also. Plus, then I also have to participate. Like, it's just, it kind of sucks to be that person. I can definitely feel for them. Yeah.
Because to your point about loyalties, if you are somehow identified as being on the committee, then a committee, any kind of arrangement planning, also makes it look like you're by default on the side.
You're the company. Yeah. Like you are the company. You're not one of us. You're not a worker. You're not. Yeah.
Right.
True,
so then you are also just as disconnected because you're a part of this. Whether you got voluntold, invited, asked, volunteered yourself, it doesn't matter.
No.
Like
the perception.
The perception of it can really make, so I can see where, no wonder if this individual was seen as the company, then no wonder nobody wants to be in like a private conversation or offer up
Yeah.
ideas to kind of help the company if they're feeling, yeah, I got a lot of questions.
Yeah. A little bit of distrust there. Yeah. And like, so you can kind of identify with this person who was planning stuff. But so I'm curious then, from taking a different perspective here then. So if this boss who wanted to arrange this came to you as a coaching client and said, my morale event backfired at work, what questions would you ask them? Like, how would you try to get to that, like the root of that, and understand what was going on there? That's just.
This would be a multi-part question. Like this would be like probably a whole like evolution. I'm not sure that there's one question that can like succinctly reframe or define this, but if in your example, if it is the leader who is coming to coaching, then the first level of inquiry would be the attachment that this individual has to the success of this. Like where is this sitting with that leader and that individual as being the important thing? What other ideas might you have? And have an understanding of, what does morale look like to you? What does morale mean to you? What does being appreciated feel like? Yeah. I just need to understand where they were coming from with the instructions that they either created or were given themselves. Yeah. Because maybe they're in a line of middle.
Well, a lot of middle managers are, for sure. And I will say, coming from like the HR side, I know that a lot of managers kind of have in their performance review this like engagement piece, right? Or you call it morale if you want, but it's usually like, having a level of engagement that improves collaboration and improves other metrics for the team and things like that. And so it's a number that they have to meet. And so if this was just a transactional sort of thing where it's like, oh, I see my engagement numbers just below the line that I need to make that, fully successful, whatever, I'm going to come up with all these things. Like that's not being sincere. Do you know what I mean? It's not considering what led to these numbers, whatever. And so I love that you're like, hey, well, what does this mean to you? Like getting a little deeper to understand, like, what does it mean? Like, what are your goals, kind of thing? And if it's purely a transactional thing, guess what? That's how it came across. It did not come across as something sincere where, like, yeah, you had true appreciation for the team. Because from an employee perspective, like, I don't generally see that, because I know the motivations for my company is dollars. Like, you don't care about me, I see you just as my employer, the person who gives me my paycheck so I can live my life. Yeah, I like that, trying to understand the motivations of the leader and kind of coming up with this idea. I want to know, how'd you get to this?
How did you get, and it, a lot of, and I would like to understand too, like, what's their leadership experience? Because maybe they are seasoned and this has always worked for them prior, and this is the first time it didn't work.
Maybe.
Or maybe they're new and they are following how they have been led.
Piece of information.
Right. And so being able to help me understand what your experience is with morale activities in your leader past. Right. And they may say, I'm brand new. Right. And this is how I've seen it work. And so like, they just like, and it's like, well, what other ways have you felt connected to individuals? I don't feel connected, or I have a hard time feeling connected to people, right? Or it just happens like that. You just kind of, like we were at this event and then, you worked on this project and you're like, oh, interesting. Right?
Interesting. Yes.
Tell me more about how you understand that working. And so it's sometimes the big flashy number, to your point, of a metric is the absolute eraser of any form of creativity, conversation about personal success, conversation about how you're influencing team success, conversations about how you are building relationships. Metrics can sometimes, I have seen, completely obliterate the humanness of how we engage and interact. And I think that engagement committees are a really great example of being a metric without having success defined, a number is not success.
No. And I think, honestly, I think too much emphasis is usually put on that stuff. And I get, like, from a performance piece, like, oh, well, that's easy to define, like, you made it or you didn't, success or failure, right? But I think there's so much more to that. There's all these different layers that you have to consider. And like you said, you know, how long have they been a leader? Is this a new team? There are all these other things that you have to kind of consider. And so I think, yeah, it's hard in this instance to kind of like dissect and say, well, you didn't, you know, this is the path you really should have taken, or, you know, you didn't consider these other things. Like there's so much. And my experience with sort of like these mandatory fun events definitely has colored my view in this. And it would be hard for me to be impartial in this case. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And if I, you know, having been from the employee perspective and not the leader perspective, right?
Like, I know that employee perspective.
I feel like it's a situation that you don't want to get involved. Yeah. So what you do is you just throw your hands up and be like, well, that's for the leader to figure out. And the leader is like, I've got a whole team of people who are throwing their hands up and aren't willing to kind of like, so how do you get to the point that everyone can take responsibility for it? That is the key.
Yeah.
Because if you have a single individual, either from the leader or from the employee perspective, because, you know, as we've talked about previous episodes before, usually if you've got an idea, then you become responsible for making that idea happen. So why would anybody who might actually have a good idea want to even bring that up and present it as, well, have you thought of this? Because then they would be like, oh, and then now you're president of this committee.
Yeah,
and it's like,
no.
But that is right? You are now president of making my metric. And like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So
instead, focus on things like making our workloads more manageable. Focus instead on better staffing. Focus at like, get off this other stuff. Like you have so many, you've got trust issues you've got so many other things that you could be focusing on. Like get off that. Yeah. And get off this whole like, oh, I want ideas, but then there's this understanding that if you've got the idea, you run with that. Like, no, what the heck? Like,
and they call it autonomy, right? Like they have agency and autonomy, and they have all of these glittery, shiny words that I hope to get 81 points on Scrabble with.
Wait, did you get 81 points on Scrabble with that?
You did with your word. I'm just saying that was, I hope
okay. I was like, wait, what? I haven't checked. I was scared.
Oh, you scared. But they do. They throw around these words that then eventually become loaded words. They get so overused. They form
overused.
They form really kind of like what I like to call like underground connotations, where they just start. It's like the worms regenerating underneath the earth.
I have this horrible visual in my head. Oh, I really wish you would have used a different term to like describe this. Ew! Okay.
All right, let's find another one.
New one.
Like
it's definitely cringe. Oh my God. Is it as horrifying as worms multiplying underground? Maybe. What?
Okay, so I missed that was cringe. I was like, but it's what happens under the earth.
Worms multiplying.
Worms, it's what makes the grass grow. Like
You lost me. I had to jump off the train.
She just abandoned. Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's maybe more like what was I? Okay. Okay, so let's another nature. Non-gross nature.
Non-gross.
Yeah, non-gross nature. I feel like a lot of these words, they spend some time in the sunshine, but then the shade, they are forming new kind of ways that they're being utilized and understood and get different. Did I lose you again?
No. Yeah, I can get on board with this one. Yes. Yeah. I'm still on the ship. Okay, keep going. Proceed.
They become cliched phrases. They become part of our tone. They become part of a phrase. Cringe. They become very cringe. And so, like, I feel like we can't, like, it's something new coming up all the time about what new phrase, what new word that are we going to, pound into the ground. No visual. I was just going to stop right there and let you.
Yeah, I was going to say this. I would love. Okay, some other like cringy, like buzzword, word that's floating around out there that's really popular with the corporate speak or whatever. I want people to come over to our subreddit and share those with us because we are building our tome, and we would love to hear what is buzzing in your like workplace setting. And if you want to follow us, we've also got an Instagram, so come check us out. And if you're not already subscribed, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, because who knows what sort of like chaos we're going to get, weird things we're going to talk about in next week's episode. Well, this has been Sanity Pending Podcast. I'm Holly, and this is Amber, and this is your reminder that if you haven't throat punched somebody this week, it's been a good week. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.